Okay guys, we know that the new Krieg sets are coming out in the very near future, and a bunch of people will of course be starting new Krieg armies and will be looking for painting guides online to help them get their army started. Now, I have a whole heap of videos on my channel already helping you guys paint up Krieg, but those are all based on the 143rd Siege Regiment. They're my kind of blue jacket, brown trouser, like the traditional looking Krieg. And obviously there's a bunch of different ways of painting Krieg as per the book here. This is the Imperial Armor Vrax Volume 1, which does give you a bunch of different named regiments inside of it. So I thought what I would do in today's video is I would do an updated one on my Krieg video, and then also I'm going to tackle the 19th Siege Regiment and the 158th Siege Regiment. So I'm going to give you a desert scheme, so the tan scheme, and then the ones with the green jackets and the black trousers, which a lot of people really like as well. So I'm going to give you those three painting guides in this video, so you will hopefully be able to decide on what Krieg regiment you want to do, and this video will help you get there. Before I get into the video though, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my active patrons and everyone out there that is currently supporting Mediocre Hobbies. Without you guys, I couldn't continue doing this, so thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. If you want to check it out yourself, it is linked down in the description below. You get access to a private Discord server and access to an extra video every single week just for you guys. That's two awesome benefits of being members of the Patreon. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and get a couple of Kriegsmen painted. So of course, step one was getting a box of Death Korps of Kriegsmen and cracking them open and getting some built. Like I said, in this particular video, we're going to be tackling three schemes: the 143rd, the 158th, and the 19th Siege Regiment. So that will be the blue jacketed ones, the green jacket with a kind of black helmet and black shoulder pads, and the desert tan ones, it's the 19th. I do modify the desert tan ones a little bit. We'll get to that later in the video, because I got to a point in the painting where I just wasn't happy. Something really wasn't gelling, and I just tweaked one part of the scheme, and then I really liked it. So these are the three miniatures that I decided to go for. I tried to build as many open posed figures as possible, so it'll be easier to paint, easier to show you the details. Hopefully it'll come across a little bit better on camera as well. So these are the three guys. I then pulled out my trusty Imperial Armor Volume 5, which is the Siege of Vrax Part 1, which has a lot of information on Krieg, including some very cool schemes from the different siege regiments and the like. So that gave me an indication of what the official schemes actually are. So this is my favorite page, and this is where I'm drawing it. So from the top left, that's the 19th Siege Regiment. Kind of middle right, that's the 143rd Siege Regiment, and then the far top right is the 158th. So those are the three schemes that I'm going for. You can see there's an all black scheme there, there's a grey urban scheme there, and stuff like that. So if this video does do well, you guys really like it, or you want to see more, let me know in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to do another video with another three Kriegsmen. Like I said, do the grey urban one, the black one, maybe it's like Void Warfare or something like that, and then maybe a wacky scheme myself. The first one I'm going to tackle is the one that I know the best. It's the 143rd Siege Regiment. It's what my kind of 10,000 points of painted Krieg are already painted like. So it's an easy one for me. I've already done a video on this, but I'm going to go through it again so they're all in one cohesive place. And obviously when I did this video previously, it was quite a long time ago, so it's kind of buried by the algorithm. So this will hopefully pull it back up to the forefront, because a lot of people will be thinking about Krieg. So we started with some Space Wolf's Grey contrast and painted that over his entire jacket. Then we grabbed Wildwood. So the Wildwood is going to be for his trousers, and then like all of his webbing and stuff like that as well. So the rebreather kind of thing on his chest, the straps going up, his like suspenders is going around his belt, the stock of his gun, and the straps holding on his like sleeping bag and stuff like that onto his backpack. They're all going to be that kind of brown color, including the backpack itself. We're then going to grab a little bit of Skeleton Horde, and we're going to paint up his nice ankle wraps. And then his face mask and stuff like that is going to go. Now there's details on this model which will obviously be done in the same color, like the pages on the book are going to get done. Not many of your models are going to have pages in their hand or books in their hand, but for this one I did it as well. His sleeping bag and that little roll on the bottom of his backpack also got covered in that particular color. Very quick, very easy to do. We're trying to block in those kind of generic color schemes. Now, sometimes you can decide to do the shoulder trim, the helmet in, you know, a color that matches the jacket in a blue or something like that. I always thought these guys are more kind of militaristic, more standard, so I'm going to go for a nice silver for that. I like having kind of like military, like armor panels. So I'm going to break out the lead belcher. We're going to, of course, do the remaining parts of the gun. Any belt buckles, any clasps, anything like that you'll find around the model. Some Kriegsmen will have different parts and different things, so make sure you do go around and have a look. and make sure you get those details done. And then obviously his shoulder guards and his helmet are going to done as well. And then the hose of his gas mask is going to be done in that silver as well. Once again, not a very long stage, it's very quick to do. The whole idea behind these 3 schemes is they are quick and easy to follow. You will be able to get an infantry kind of squad of Krieg done in a fairly respectable amount of time and then look fairly good on the tabletop. Okay, with all the base coats in, it's time to add Seraphim Sepia. So this is going to be over the entire miniature. We're going to add the sepia. It's going to shade it all down really nicely, give it that kind of grungy look, which of course, Kriegsmen are siege specialists. They belong in trench warfare, storming walls, constant artillery barrages landing around them. So they're not pristine, so they're not Mordians. So they're allowed to be a little bit grubby. Still extremely well trained, extremely well disciplined, but they're still going to be a little bit kind of gruff, if you will. It even talks about it in this particular Imperial Armor book, where they talk specifically about regimental colors vary based on available cloth and dye, but all Krieg regiments favor somber colors. Grays and blacks are most common, greens and browns being used. So, like I said, the kind of green and yellowy tone kind of matches through the Krieg. Okay, once that's dry and I got the basing done, it's time to start the layering process. So I'm not going to keep it make it really complicated. I'm going to do a single stage layer on all the different parts of the model just to kind of bring it all up, make it look nice. So the first thing we're going to do is the fang, and we're going to layer up that jacket. Now, even though we're only doing one stage, you can see that I am taking my time. I am being careful. I am just hitting the raised areas. I'm leaving the nice shaded blue where it is, just to add a lot of kind of depth and a lot of texture to these pieces. And if you do it right, it will make the jacket stand out. It's going to look really nice. You don't need to go in for that final edge highlight or anything like that. That will just kind of eat up away at the time. And if you're doing a Krieg army, you might have, 60, 70, 100 kind of Kriegsmen to paint. So yeah, even if you think about some of the new artillery pieces have up to 5 crew. So, half a squad of soldiers just for the crew on an artillery piece. So learning to paint the infantry fast, I think, is very important. Mournfang Brown is then brought in, and we're using that to highlight and layer up all of the brown parts. We did all the wildwood sections, so that means his trousers, and then all the webbing and kind of straps and stuff across the model. We're going to get done in that nice light brown color as well. These 2 colors complement each other really well. I really enjoy it, and like I said, I've seen all kind of 70 of my infantry all lined up, all painted matching, and I really like it. It's a problem with painting this guy up for a video, because now I just have this random guy who doesn't go in a squad. So I'm going to need to try and build this guy a squad or something else. Just a random wasted miniature, which will annoy me quite a lot. Okay, with the brown all done, as you can see, there's a lot of detail still to kind of layer up. The model is really starting to come together. Zandri Dust is then my color of choice for the wraps, the gas mask, the pages, the sleeping bag and stuff over his backpack. All those things are just going to require one careful layer job with Zandri Dust. Nothing crazy. Like I said, we're not here to spend a bunch of time kind of layering and edge highlighting and stuff like that. We've got a million other things to do. I am taking my time not to go between the rags. I do want to leave that nice shaded bit behind. If you do learn that skill, you learn to leave the shadows alone and just to layer up the kind of brighter bits, then a base coat and a layer really does go a long way. If you filled in those bits, it's going to be flat colors. It's going to not look great at all. Back to Lead Belcher again to relayer a bunch of the metallic parts. Once again, like all the other sections, although we base coated all these in silver because they were shaded down, when we go back over, we're being careful to leave the shadows where they are and layer the high, kicking a dog here saying it over and over again, but I'm trying to let that sink in. But once you get it right, it will make a big difference. So we're closing in on finishing off the first of the 3 Krieg schemes in this video. If you do watch this video and you do decide that you want to follow one of these guides and paint it up, I would love to know which one you chose and why. We all know there is more Krieg coming out in the very, very near future. I'm getting ready to give you guys as much content as possible on Krieg, as they are a big part of my hobby life, and I want to share them with you as much as possible. Okay, with the red eye lenses in, I also layered up the back of the book with that as well. We have our first finished Kriegsman. This is the 143rd Siege Regiment. Really like the result. Like I said, this is my actual Krieg scheme. I mean, this is what my standard infantry look like. So hopefully you guys like the result and you would be happy to follow along and get that scheme done as well. Okay, we're now going to move over to the next scheme. This one is one that I have seen before a little bit. It's the 158 Siege Regiment. Now, I did lose a piece of footage where I blocked in the first color. This is Militarum Green. And as you can see, I painted it over the jacket, over his helmet, and stuff like that. So just make sure that sticks in your head. I honestly don't know where that piece of footage went. It's rather annoying. But yeah, you can see what I did. The Militarum Green, it does look really great on the jackets. This particular scheme finished off really, really nicely. Like, it's really nice. Like I think I say it at the end where I talk about if I was to go back and have my entire army in front of me right now and it was not painted at all, would I change this scheme? And it's very possible. Then, of course, we are on to the standard skeleton horde, and we're doing exactly the same step as the last one, which is the sleeping bags, the wraps, the gas mask. Those stages are getting done in that color as well. Moving over to Black Templar. These are going to be for his boots, his trousers. We're going to do some of his buckling and webbing and stuff like that as well in black. I suppose the only thing, or the only slightly negative thing, at least for me, for having a green Krieg army is I paint a lot of different guard regiments, and I have a big Cadian army as well, which is green and tan, so you probably wouldn't want to duplicate those colors of that scheme over and over again. The blue Krieg is such a unique scheme that unless you're really doing Mordians, you're not going to be painting anything like it on any other guard regiment. So I'm going to take my time, continue to paint the Black Templar into these sections. Obviously I'm going to do his rifle in black as well. Obviously this is more of a, like a ceramic, if you will, rifle as opposed to the kind of wooden one that we had in the first scheme. The difference between that is when we get to that kind of lead belcher highlight at the end, we're going to be scratching up and scuffing the rifle as well. I know ceramic wouldn't scuff like silver, but we're going to go for like a standard M16 out in the world now, an M4 with that kind of black metallic look that gets kind of scratched and stuff. Agaros Dunes is then brought in for some of the other details across this miniature. We of course have his rebreather mask thing, or his webbing, if you will, so the straps and stuff getting done in a kind of lighter tan color. This is as me following the guide that is in the Vrax book. Like, so far, even these tones just really work together. It's starting to, I really like it. Lead Belcher, of course, has for all the metallic bits, same thing, the hose, the grenade, the rest of the rifle. So there is, of course, going to be similar parts across the different regiments of, like, only some cloth color is really going to be different. So all the boots are going to be the same, all the rifles are kind of going to be the same, all the hoses and face plates and stuff, they're all going to be the same, no matter what regiment that you decide to do for your Kriegsman. I presume if you are watching this video, you have an interest in Kriegsman and you are maybe participating in or starting to think about starting an army with the new launches. I would love to know your thoughts on that. We seem to be getting quite a lot of new kits along with the infantry kit that we previously got. I mean, plastic Krieg are looking quite nice. I would have liked a plastic Krieg specific tank, a new guard tank. It doesn't have to be a new one, it could be one of the Forge Worlds transferred over. I think the Macarius or something would have been really cool. Okay, unlike the other one where we went for a Seraphim Sepia, with this one we're going to hit it with Nuln Oil. We want to darken down and shade all those kind of black areas. It's going to sit really nice over this dark green. And it's just going to really kind of like drag the tone down of this, guys, make it look really sinister. And obviously the shadows are going to be really nice and dark, which means when we start to layer it, loads of the details will pop exactly the way we want them to. So making sure to get a solid coat of Nuln Oil, making sure nothing kind of pools anywhere it's not supposed to or anything like that. And as soon as we add the base, we have our Kriegsman like that. Like, this guy looks great like this. Like, if you were in a rush and had 100 Kriegsmen to do, you could leave it like this. And I don't think anybody would think anything bad of you across the tabletop playing you. But we are going to go ahead and layer up this model. So we're going to start with Strachan Green and we're going to layer up that awesome jacket. And just like I said in the previous one, I'm taking my time and doing the higher parts or higher portions of the jacket. all the higher bits of the folds, and then anywhere it's nice and creased, leave that null oil behind. See, I'm going in with like sharp kind of small stabbing motions just to create that kind of texture across the fabric. We're not looking for big broad strokes with the brush. That's not what, I don't think that's what fabric would look like naturally. I don't think it takes a brush like that very well. Things like the helmet and stuff you can do with that. But I prefer a texture and depth in a miniature. And I always find that these kind of short, jagged brush strokes really do help kind of deliver that effect across a model. And with the jacket done, it's like, I think the jacket looks really good. It's a really nice color. Okay, so we're going to go to Corvus Black. This is my go-to color to layer up anything black. So obviously I'm going to go for his trousers. Some of also the details he's wearing, obviously the black gloves, black shoulder guards, the casing of his las rifle, laslock rifle or whatever you want to call it, is going to be done with the Corvus Black as well. And then there's some details on his backpack, some straps and kind of other bits and pieces. And then just like the previous one, we are of course going to jump up to our Xandri Dust, and we're going to use this to layer up. Same thing as again, the wrappings around his waist. Anything else that you did in Skeleton Horde and it got shaded. So obviously this guy has his like rebreather unit on his chest done in that color. That kind of military tan look, if you remember like American GIs. You know, their backpacks and stuff for that kind of color. So same idea with that, well, plus bedroll, gas masks, you know, all those usual bits that you must do for these guys to be painted. This guy's really starting to come together now. There's not a lot left to do. So we're of course going to jump over to our lead belcher, relayer up the grenade, the piping for his gas mask. We're going to chip that rifle like we talked about before. The first guy had a wooden stocked rifle, so we just left that alone when we layered it. This one is more of like a polymer or, you know, painted metal. So when we do get around to that rifle, we're going to add some chips along the edges. You know, the breech on those kind of bits and pieces, the kind of bits of the mechanisms are going to get worked or used or scuffed or grabbed. And we're going to hit with silver as well. And then of course, Mephisto on red to paint in those traditional red eye lenses that all Krieg are famed for. When you see, you know, 100,000 heads popping out of a trench and those red eye lenses are glowing back at you, it can be fairly terrifying. The whistles blow and they charge out, you're in for a bad night. Here's our finished Kriegsman from the 158th Siege Regiment. Love how this guy turned. I truly do love how he turned out. I think he's incredible looking. He might be my favorite of the three, but obviously you can place bets yourself. Let me know at the end of the video which one you like the most. This one definitely speaks to me. I'm very happy with the final result. For the last Kriegsman in this particular tutorial video, we are of course now going to move over to the 19th Siege Regiment, which is basically desert fatigues across the model. We have this guy with his trench club in his hand, his rifle is slung. He's ready to repel boarders from his trench and kind of deal with it. So obviously, desert schemes, in my opinion, have always been something that are a little bit difficult because it's usually a lot of the same kind of color and tones, kind of like really close to each other, and it's kind of hard to break them apart and stuff. So I'll give you an example later on. I do struggle with something and I do have to make a correction. I change the scheme just a tiny bit and it works a little bit more for me. So the first thing I grabbed was Skeleton Horde, and we painted this across his entire jacket. As you notice, I always start with the Kriegsman's jacket. I think it's the easiest way to go to really get the idea of the color scheme. Skeleton Horde is a great color for that desert tan scheme. A great place to start from. So we're going to make sure that we get a nice clean coat of this across all of it. And so his jacket, there's going to be a couple of other bits and pieces, like I said, like that bedroll or any of those other bits that it would suit. Make sure to get that done as well. We've done his ankle wraps and stuff as well. Next, we're going to go to Agaro's Dunes, which is a very similar color. It's just a little bit darker. And this is where we're going to get his trousers. And at this point of painting this video, I do his webbing on the front of him. So his rebreather unit in the middle and the straps and the buckles and his belt around his waist and stuff in this color, as it is shown in the actual book itself, what it's kind of supposed to look like. But when I shaded it and I started layering it, I wasn't loving the kind of tan on tan color, and I will explain a little bit later on what I did to correct this. Let me know, you'll see it in a minute painted up. And you can let me know if you like it. Do you think I should have powered on with the same tone, or whether you made the right decision to switch over? So we grab some Black Templar. We're going to get his shoulder pads done in that, his black helmet, the handle of the trench club, the rest of the rifle is going to get done in black as well. And then that little tube thing on the bottom of the backpack, which I have no idea what is it. Is it supposed to represent something that holds a stick grenade? Is that what those are? I really don't know. Is this where their orders are wrapped up in? They're on every single Kriegsman, and I don't actually know what they are. I wonder if it's in this book actually somewhere. I'll have a nosy through and see if I can, their equipment, they can explain to me what the hell it is. Lead Belcher was then brought in for all the same bits. So the head of the trench club is the hose of his rebreather, the rest of the rifle, belt buckles, clasps, all those other bits. He's obviously got an Aquila on his helmet, so we're going to do that in silver as well. Now we're of course now going to shade the miniature down. Now for this guy, we are going to reach for our Seraphim Sepia again. Obviously we use Seraphim Sepia for the first guy as well. It's going to be a really nice tone across all of these kind of deserty scheme bits. So it's like a yellowy brown color, and it does work a treat. As you can see, it goes straight on and it looks fantastic. The jacket is exactly what I want it to look like. And when I layer it, I'm really happy with the final color of the jacket. Just some of the other details that just didn't really work. I could go back and do an entire correction video, but I often get comments when I leave this kind of footage in and I just explain it, that people are grateful to see that, you know, I get it wrong just as much as you guys get it wrong, and it's, you know, it's good to go back and correct it yourself. You know, painting is just this like spectrum, so obviously sometimes it's not going to work, and you know, you're going to leave it the way it is, you're going to correct it, it's up to you, but hopefully it's not too hard to follow if you're going to go for this scheme. So Zandri Dust now used to layer up the jacket. And obviously I'm going to take my time with this. Like I explained before, you can see me working around those higher ridge bits, and then I leave that shadowy bit alone to go to the next step. Higher, highlight, highlight, highlight. And it does take a little bit of time. Like, this is probably the most tedious step of painting a Kriegsman, is the layering stage of the jacket. And even still, it only takes maybe 2-3 minutes to layer up a jacket. You know, half an hour on a jacket for the entire squad isn't too bad for the most tedious step. Like, if you set aside a full day, you can get 10 Kriegsmen fully painted. Here's the jacket, and I think we like I said, we nailed the desert color with that. And here's where things get a little bit messed up. So I go for Talar and Sand to layer up the Agro's Dunes part, and it works on the trousers. It's just when it gets to the webbing on the chest, it doesn't really work. I didn't really like it, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to correct it. And my brain immediately went to the Delta Force guys from Black Hawk Down. Those, like, one of the most badass military schemes, in my humble opinion, is that, which is the, you know, the desert fatigues and then the black webbing, the black helmets. I always thought that looked super, super cool. So I'm going to drag that in here. I've already done the helmet in black, and I've already done the shoulder pad in black. The rifle's already done in black. You can see the center of the chest is just too much that tan color for me. And this is the bit, that last shot you just saw. Do you like what that looks like? Or do you think I'm going to make the right decision here by swatching over those parts to the black and breaking up the desert a little bit more? It also reminds me a lot of Stargate. That was always a big inspiration for me as well. I always really liked the military look that they went for, which was their, you know, their fatigues, their green fatigues with the black jackets and webbing and stuff over the top. I always thought that looked really cool. So I am going to take my time, because obviously the jacket is now finished, so we don't want to make a mess of it. So this is the black over the top of it, and it looks a little bit flat right now, but we are actually going to break our rule, and we're going to do 2 stages of highlight to make this pop. I really want to make it work. So I'm going to go for Corvus Black as the first one, just like we've done with all the other black steps so far on all 3 Kriegsmen. Just very quick highlight, very quick layer across those bits. Add a little bit of depth to the kind of flat to black that it is right now. Obviously, because it's missing its shade, we missed that stage. We had to go back over it. So the layering is super important. And obviously we're going to carry through to all parts, even the trench club and the rifle stock and stuff. We want all those kind of black tones to match. And from here, then, of course, we're going to jump up to another stage, which is going to go from Mechanica Standard Grey. But we're going to be very, very sparse with this. Only really, really light touches of the brush across those sections, just to add the tiniest bit of highlight, tiniest bit of extra texture, and to help those details pop out a little bit. And then this is the kind of deserty tone that I'm going to go for. So like I said, the trousers and the over jacket work in the desert scheme, but the rest of it is going to be black. Do you like that? Do you think I should have gone for more desert? If you did, you have all of the recipe there. You know what colors to layer and highlight. So if you decided you want to do the helmet and the shoulder pads in desert as well to make it seem a bit more camouflage, go for it. If you like it the way it is, do let me know. Obviously, we're back in with the red for the eye lenses as well. The eye lens color never changes. Same depth mask, same gas mask on any model in the Krieg Force. And then, of course, bringing in lead belcher to layer up all those metallic bits again. The hose, the rest of the weapon, including the casing, top of the billy club, and obviously belt buckles, clasps, and the like. And with that step done, we will have our third finished Krieg scheme. And like I said, I would love to know what your thoughts are on this. Do you think it works? Which of the three is your favorite scheme? And why? I do like to know the why as well. Is there particularly like the jacket of the green one, or the black webbing of the desert one? Whichever it is, please do let me know. So this is the final result of the desert one. I think it looks really cool. I think it definitely works for a desert style force, especially if all the tanks matched in that, like, desert tiger stripe kind of thing or something. I think it would be really cool. Couple of still images as usual, and then I've got a little clip here of me holding up all three of them side by side to give you guys an idea of what they all look like for a little bit of a compare and contrast. This is what we did in today's video. Hopefully you found one of these three useful, and if you want to see more Krieg schemes, please do let me know in the comments below. Okay guys, we have our three finished Kriegsmen ready to rock and roll. Very happy, of course, with my traditional scheme. Really like how that looked. Wasn't sure how I was going to personally feel about the other two, whether it was going to draw me to it. The desert scheme is nice. I really like it. It doesn't interest me to do an army in that color scheme, even though it's one of my favorite, like, actual military color schemes, the like Delta Force, Black Hawk Down style with the tan fatigues and the black webbing and stuff. I really love that look, and it looks awesome. Really like how that turned out. The green one definitely jumped out at me. I really like how that looked. And if I was back in the beginning of my Krieg journey and I was trying to figure out how to start my army and I did these three as testers, I wouldn't be guaranteed that I'd be doing my blue scheme. Perhaps my entire army would have ended up this green one. Who knows? Hopefully you liked this video and you learned a little something. If you did, make sure you do those three things that you should do for all content creators. Every video that you watch that you enjoy, make sure you give the video a like, ask any questions if you have any in the comments, and make sure you subscribe to those channels. Those three things cost you nothing, but they mean the world to us creators, as goes the growth of our channel and how many people see our videos. And of course, if you want to support us even more, check out Patreon, linked down below. Thank you guys so much for sticking around at the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one.